Today, let's travel back to the late 18th century, a time when the most powerful empire in the world was Britain. From a small island, Britain controlled lands across the globe. And at that time, America was not an independent country. It was made up of 13 British colonies stretched along the eastern coast. People lived there under British rule. The British government heavily taxed the American colonists, but gave them no voice in the decisions that affected their lives. Americans began to protest, saying, "Greater than, no taxation without representation." They demanded that if they were being taxed, they should also have a say in Parliament. But Britain refused. It saw the colonies only as subjects, not partners. By the early 1770s, the spirit of rebellion was growing. The city of Boston became the heart of the movement. In 1773, when Britain placed a tax on tea, American rebels responded dramatically. They boarded British ships and dumped an entire shipment of tea into the harbor. This event became famous as the Boston Tea Party, and it was the spark that would light the fire of war. In 1775, the conflict began. The first battles took place in Lexington and Concord, where local American militias clashed with British troops. Those were the first shots of the American Revolutionary War. The rebellion quickly spread. The Americans formed their own army, called the Continental Army, and chose George Washington as its commander. This was the same George Washington who would later become America's first president. Britain was confident it would easily crush the rebellion. Its army was powerful and well equipped. It was the mightiest empire in the world. But the Americans had something stronger: the will to fight for freedom. They knew their land, they were determined, and they were fighting for their future. When a nation rises for its freedom, no empire can silence it easily. In 1776, American leaders gathered in Philadelphia. On July 4th, they made a historic announcement: the Declaration of Independence. In this document, they declared that America was no longer part of Britain, but a free and independent nation. Britain considered this treason and intensified the war. The conflict didn't remain just between America and Britain. Other nations became involved too. France, a longtime enemy of Britain, decided to support America. France sent weapons, money, and soldiers. This changed everything, because now Britain faced two strong forces. A major turning point came in 1777 at the Battle of Saratoga. The Americans won this crucial battle. After that, France officially joined the war as America's ally. Britain's power began to weaken as the war stretched on. During the war, American soldiers faced extreme hardships. In the freezing winter, they lacked food, clothing, and proper shelter. But George Washington's leadership kept the army united and strong. From 1778 to 1781, battles raged across different parts of America. The Americans learned from each fight and grew stronger. In 1781, the war reached its decisive moment at Yorktown. British Commander General Cornwallis was surrounded by American and French forces. He had no choice but to surrender. In October 1781, Britain's army laid down its weapons. It was the moment of victory for America. 2 years later, in 1783, both sides signed the Treaty of Paris. Britain officially recognized the United States of America as an independent nation. The 13 colonies that were once under British rule were now united as a free country. George Washington became the nation's first president. This war not only gave America its freedom, but also sent a powerful message to the world. When people fight for their rights with courage and determination, even the greatest empire can be defeated. After America's independence, many other nations around the world were inspired to fight for their own freedom. Today, July 4th is celebrated in the United States as Independence Day. Americans remember the brave men and women who sacrificed everything for liberty. This was not just a war of weapons. It was a war of courage, hope, and belief. A small group of colonies defeated the most powerful empire of its time. And a new nation was born, one that would grow to become a world power. This was the story of America versus Britain. The story of the War of Independence. A war that changed the world forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon for more powerful historical stories. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.